Okay, and we are live. Reunion Summit, day 4. Wow, it's like we're almost to the halfway point. And this is maybe one of the most anticipated live streams of the summit. People are really, it's kind of a
Go
contentious
downstairs. Don't
topic,
talk.
but also, it's also, something that I feel is one of the most important topics. And that is crypto and what we're calling the crypto 3.0 revolution and the decentralization revolution. And for me, the theme for today, actually, for today on the summit is decentralization, decentralizing your financial system, your social systems, decentralizing your health. We have Tom Barnett coming on later for a live stream to talk about health sovereignty and how to fix yourself if you get hurt and all that, so you don't have to go to the hospitals and all that. So really great day about sovereignty and really how to take back your life from the Borg. So crypto plays a really important part of that. And I'm really excited today to have two friends of mine and people that I really trust in this space. We have Jason Crowe from the QORTAL project, and we have Lootz. We have Lootz from Pirate Chain.
How you doing, fellas?
And we have Josh Del Sol, who's in the he's moderating in the chat right now, who will be taking questions and sending them to me. So if you guys do have questions for us, because I know many of you will, please drop them in the live chat or in the comments, and Josh will make sure that I see those. We will look to those more towards the end of the chat because we've got a lot to cover today. It's just a heavy topic. I feel like really this could be like a 20-hour course for folks, especially for people that are coming in that are just like really brand new to the space. We know that there's a lot of charlatans, a lot of snake oil being sold, like any Wild West market, right? I mean, literally, crypto still is the Wild West. It really is America. For me, I love crypto because it really personifies like America. Like it's really radical in terms of like people are doing whatever they want still in the space. And that's what's so empowering about it. But also we do know really since 2014 with what I guess you'd call the rise of crypto 2.0 started with pure coin, which then went into, of course, Ethereum, and then into the initial coin offerings, and then the explosion of centralized exchanges and trading. We saw a kind of Wall Street 2.0 version of what crypto has become, and that's really what it's grown from. And Jason and I did an amazing interview with Sayer G on Green Med Info about his project, and I'm involved too with QORTAL, and we cover a lot of that. So I highly recommend folks to watch that. I don't want to have to rehash all of that, but we will touch on that today and the problems with crypto right now in terms of the mainstream crypto. But this panel will also be really about solutions. It'll be about where we see it going and why decentralization is so important for this really empowering technology. And it really is empowering for the common man, for the unbanked, for people who are in third world countries, people that are looking to really take power of money in their own hands. And be more liquid with it, be able to cross borders. I mean, there's so many. Before we started the stream, Lootz was just telling us about his experience at Anarchapulco and the hell it was to get back to the States. Literally, is it okay if I tell just briefly how they literally strip searched him? The TSA did, literally, like pulled his pants down and brought up crypto to him without him bringing it up. So he was on a list.
That's scary.
Super crazy. So, and I'm going to let in a little bit Lootz talk about Pirate and why it's important, because it's all about privacy. And we know that's like an extremely, extremely important thing moving forward. But first, I'd like to just start off with just a brief introduction. And so you guys can give a little background of where you're coming from. I'll start first. People know, obviously, in the summit who I am, but just full disclosure, one of the projects we'll be talking about today is called QORTAL. We've we've talked about it all week already in the summit, and I am a co-founder in that. Whatever that means. There's no corporation behind it. There's no, it's not like we meet in a board and we have board of supervisors and we have stockholders. There's no ICO. We'll go into all that. It just means that I, am part of like the tribal elders, if you will, to help.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. To help the project get off its feet. So enough about me. Jason, just give us like a really quick, because people can go and watch older YouTubes and stuff. You've done this a lot, but a real quick, just for people that are new to this, like a minute summary of how you got into crypto and where you are now.
Okay, sure. Yeah. I mean, I've just been in IT for a really long time, since I was about 16. Heard about Bitcoin in 2013, and it was on from then on. I got into mining really heavily. And then started leading crypto projects, got into one called Burst with a cool mining algorithm that used hard drive space. I thought that was really cool. So from there, kept building the team, which is more of like a family to me. They've been with me the whole time and supporting me and my crazy ideas and trying to make them real. And it's been pretty awesome since then. Lots of headaches, lots of heartache, had so many different things happen because of centralized providers, which hence my distaste for any sort of centralization. And that led to a lot of the concepts that are now in QORTAL, wherein there is no centralized party involved in any aspect of it, right? So that's really the driving force behind a lot of this. I've lost well over 10 Bitcoin on centralized exchanges. All kinds of different centralized providers have screwed me in one way or another, right? And so I really am anti those kinds of things being able to happen. And that's really the focus of QORTAL, is to bring back full individual sovereignty and direct trading, direct everything with everyone, right? Like, so if we're going to be doing data storage in the future, it's going to be done in the same fashion. There's going to be no centralized aspect to it whatsoever. And everything is part of the core of QORTAL is like that. And that's what the real main focus needs to be with these kinds of things. A lot of the crypto projects have gone away from being fully decentralized and have centralized certain aspects of things, even sometimes without real intent behind it, but it still end up being that way. And that's something that we wanted to completely eliminate with QORTAL. And so, yeah, there's a lot of other stuff that I can go into, but yeah, that's a nice little quick intro there.
Beautiful, Jason. Thank you. Lootz, quick, just what I know. I went on the Pirate Chain weekly chat, and I got a little background from you, which is really fascinating because you actually tie a bit into health too, as far as your awakening goes. But what got you? Quick and easy little bio background of what got you into crypto and where you're at now.
I started about 10 years ago. I was sick and tired of the regular life I was living. I worked for a Fortune 30 company. I did network engineering for many years. Cisco, ESXi servers, shit like that. Networking side of things, not really development side of things. And then I ended up getting really sick, and I woke up. I literally woke up, and I was like, why am I doing this every day? I'm not living my life. I took a look at my paycheck. I got sick of how much money they were taking from me, and I wasn't getting anything in return. And then I found the Satoshi white paper. I was told I was crazy. I was mining big time. I took criticism from work, all kinds of criticisms. But here I am now. I'm a lot healthier than I was. I am a lot better than I was, and I'm living my life the way I want to.
That's beautiful. And you are involved with a project called Pirate Chain, and this is a privacy coin. It's a project that is near and dear to my heart, and we'll get into in a little bit the importance of privacy and how pivotal a role that's going to play as we move forward into the new, what we're calling the Crypto 3.0 ecosystem. How did you first hear about Pirate?
I came across it about 2 years ago. I wasn't first in it, but I heard about it because I was in the Komodo circles back then. And when I was told about it, I kind of shunned it away a little bit. I was like, there's really nothing better than Monero. And then and then I looked at it again, and I looked at it a third time, and I'm like, oh man, this is feasible. Then I got stuck on the trusted setup issue, like most do, and then you come to realize that 87 participants, it's a little hard to go wrong. So after understanding that, I fell in love with Pirate, and I started working in Pirate, doing my own things, bounties, what I normally do when I join any community. I'm typically good for a community when I join it, and
I can vouch for that.
I just do my own thing, there's nothing wrong, and keep in mind, if you're a developer, if you got some skill out there, there's nothing wrong with getting some skin in a game, right? So you buy a coin and you make it better. If you got that power, you should do that. Why invest in a company that steals your money regularly?
And that's the beauty of the open source, is that they can do that. They can actually come in and help without anybody saying anything. They can do pull requests on the GitHub and put in code to the thing and have people verify and input it in. It's really like, that's one of the main focuses of something being open source. So yeah, absolutely.
That's what a DAO is, right? A decentralized autonomous organization, right? So in Pirate, when I got here, there wasn't really much going on. So, to prove to myself that this was a DAO, I performed the coup. And there were not many very people happy about it, but we had our own team. And you know what? I said, now our team's going to work for Pirate. And that included our current Captain Draith and at the time House, and many other people that aren't around at the moment. And I performed a coup, and they have their team that's still working on things. We have our team. We call it the R&D department now. There's a few. So this doesn't stop. This just proves that it's decentralized, right? So the fact that I could come in and I could do anything I want, and so could anybody else if you're talented, that proves that this project is open source. It proves that there's no tyrants at the top of this project.
That's beautiful. And that's a great segue, because I think people need to understand the difference between a real crypto project, which is what you're getting at, and what currently I would say 95% of the projects out there are. If you look at CoinMarketCap,
most of them are Ethereum tokens or nonsense. Yeah. Which
is a website, for those that don't know, is like how it ranks all the top coins according to market cap, which is a silly figure to begin with, because basically it's just feeding into this Wall Street 2.0 idea of these being more like stocks for companies. Most of these, so to back up, in 2016, 2017, we kind of had this Ethereum really came into its own and started to really kind of reinvent what crypto should be in terms of greed and in terms of what people could do with their own projects. Before, you had a lot of these, what Pirate Chain and what QORTAL kind of are, is these really from organic, open source, decentralized projects that people that were just cypherpunks and developers and people
anonymous
who were just
developers a lot of the time. Yeah.
Anonymous developers were just like, whoa, this is a cool idea. Let's get together. And this was done on like Bitcoin Talk Forum. It wasn't even like, this was like pre-Discord, pre-Telegram. And it was just people going, I like this idea. How can I get involved? I don't know who you are. I don't know who this guy is. Everybody had their code names. And it was really like the pioneers of what I see is really is the future. And then here comes along Hoskinson, and I don't want to call out names, but you have these people who saw an ability to capitalize on this culture and really formulate it into more of the mainstream corporate structure, and develop this idea that, well, maybe we can actually take kind of the Wall Street idea and do these things called initial coin offerings, where we can raise a ton of capital up front for our corporate system where we have CEOs and stuff, and then create these new projects. And on up front, it sounds cool. It's like, wow, that's a really cool way to do decentralized stuff. But the problem is, it's inherently in the old system. And the problem with that is that literally you're doing exactly what like the Fed and what the things that Bitcoin was created to stop. You're redoing that again. In other words, you have people on top that are creating the coins themselves that can just decide what they want to do with them. And then they have all these people just blindly trusting in it by buying into it, hoping that it's going to work out, when Bitcoin is supposed to be trustless. Like crypto is supposed to be trustless. You're not supposed to even have to know anybody to be able to get in. And so anyways, that's where now we're in like this whole DeFi, culture, and everything's grown off of that. That's where crypto is now. And it's totally gone way left field from where the original Bitcoin white paper did, that what got Lootz inspired, which I'm sure got you inspired, Jason, and got me inspired when I read that. So that being said, people go, well, how can open source work? Like, how can that work? Like, it seems chaotic, and how can you have, structure around that? And as Lootz said, this idea of a decentralized autonomous organization where you literally allow the cream to raise, to rise to the top, right? And it really is like this amazing market of free ideas. It's like, if you have talent and you think you can do it better, go for it, bro. And then if we agree that, hey, that's awesome, then the community, however that works, votes for it and then applies that to the open source programming where everybody can see, and then boom, you have innovation. Jason, how can you speak to that right now with QORTAL, how the open source programming is working? And, from your own perspective, the power of open source versus private, intellectual property.
Yeah, so obviously, like when you start a project, you have to have a bit of centralization there, because there's a development team that starts it, right? And then so with QORTAL, my goal was to start with the best possible team, then allow that team to grow organically as we get new developers in and they pay attention, they get interested, they start putting in code, and then we add them to the developer group on chain so that they can actually be the ones to really vote the auto updates and stuff like that QORTAL can do that not many other chains can do. So for us, it's really like we started with this core trusted group of developers that demonstrated that we had the skills since we already built what was started and launched. Then we've already had multiple new developers, including one that I just put into the core developer role in Discord, Cal, who came in, demonstrated their skill, started adding code to the repo by doing a pull request, and any developer can do that. If you're wanting to help or look at the code, you find something, you see something that needs to be changed or you think would be better, you literally just issue a pull request on GitHub, do the changes, and show us. Then we'll see them, merge them in if they're good, and they'll become part of the main repo. So literally anyone can get involved. If you want to get more in depth and actually become part of the developer group on chain, you literally just have to talk with us, demonstrate your coding skill, and that's all it really takes. Like we really will offer those kinds of things to anyone. Any developer who comes along who wants to put code into our repo, great. Just do a pull request, make that change, and we'll get it done. Like that's really like what we're trying to foster here, is just anyone with the skill can come and do it. And we, as the core team, will verify it and then add that person into the group, and they'll become part of the ones who verify it in the future. So that group will continue to grow, and it'll just be a naturally organic occurring thing. And it should be really, really nice. And so far it has worked out very well. We've got a new core developer now and another one in training. We've got 3 more guys who are working on the UI. Another guy who built his own tool to pull information from the chain, Quick Mithril. He did an awesome job with his combo tool. And it's great. Like that's how it should be, right? Like any developer can come along, build their own tool, show us the code for it so we can see that it's open source. We can verify everything's legit, and that's it, right? If you want to make your own tool that does something else, by all means. If you want to commit code to the main repo, do a pull request. It's really that simple. So I mean, just fostering that kind of thing is great. Like, and that is what we want to continue doing as we continue to expand, continue to grow the network, continue to grow the developer group on chain, continue to grow all of these things and get more features and more stability improvements and more enhancements to what we already have, just making everything better, right? So the people that are in it now are essentially beta testers. Even though we've been building this for a very long time, the concepts and everything started about 7 years ago, a little longer. But now we've been an active chain for just under a year. And it's going to keep growing like that, right? And that is, you know, what we want to keep seeing is that type of growth, and the people just jumping in and helping. People now being those beta testers are essential so that they can help us by showing logs and seeing things that have happened so that we can fix them, telling us what's going on, all that kind of stuff, helping new people come in. And our community has been fantastic so far with that kind of thing. Like the people who didn't know anything, jumped in, got taught by some others. Now they know something, and they immediately start taking that information and relaying it to others and helping others get in, because we as the core team cannot individually help every single person. Like I try to get back to all of my PMs, but a lot of the time they're a day or two behind, and there's just no way for that to happen. And so that's why a corporate structure on top of something like this just can't work as well as something like what we're trying to do. If you have a corporate structure, it's reliant upon that one single entity to support everyone. And that just doesn't work in the long term. Like they end up doing outsourcing and pushing to people who don't really give a shit about the product that they're supporting. So they come off like rude to people, and it just ends up causing problems. If you now take a bunch of people who love the project and are earning from it and are joining and helping with it and helping it grow, they love it. So when they talk about it and they help other people, it's just a much better overall positive thing, as opposed to, calling tech support, getting routed to India, where somebody who gets paid nothing and is working for a multi-billion-dollar corporation is like, fuck this corporation I work for. Why the hell am I even working for them? Yeah, what do you want? Like, that's not like what we're trying to do here. It's literally the exact opposite. We're flipping everything on its head, turning the monetary system into something based on abundance and distributing it out to everyone, doing the same thing with the corporate structure, literally flipping it on its head and allowing anyone to come in and be part of it. You know, that's You know, I'm sure I got off track, but
you covered to do that. You covered a lot. And I think the key thing here, that one of the key, most important terms here is community. It is really all about community. You know, and so right now, what's so beautiful about this, and Lootz, you mentioned, like, there is a financial incentive also as well. I mean, obviously, there's also a massive incentive to help change the world and everything, but there is financial incentive here for people to be involved with this. So with like Pirate Chain, Lootz, as you said, you can come in and you can buy the coin. You can get, and you're motivated to help push the project forward, so that will increase in value. Same if you're a developer. Same, you know, if you're just
any sort of skill you have.
Any skill. So Lootz.
Yeah, it doesn't even have to be like something that's unknown. It could be known already. You know how many developers are needed to be integrated into things like Trezor? You know, not that I care to be part of it, but you know, the developers are needed for simple things. And if you come to us and you say, listen, I could incorporate you guys here, I already did it, you know, then do it.
Yeah, I was just showing that what Trezor is, or Trezor. So there's the OG hardware wallet.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of newbies in the chat right now, and I think it's good to set some foundations. We've got some good questions here. First, one of the questions is, are they talking about a safe banking system? And I'm going to let Lootz start with this, but I will just say this. This is the unbanking system is what I call it. Lootz, how would you explain in your best kind of way what Pirate Chain is in terms of, if we want to relate it to the current banking system?
There is no fucking safe banking system. There's no such thing. Nothing is safe in a banking system, right? Every money you pull out, they know about it. Every time you charge something and you go buy that toy you like or your wife likes, you know, who knows? But they all know about it. You have no privacy, right? So
even if you get a deposit of $10,000, they want to know why. They want to know where it came from.
Yeah.
And they're going to sure get their piece. So yeah,
almost like it's not your money. Yep. So you know, your data is the most important thing right now. After COVID, your data, what you do with your data is gonna route what road we're gonna take. Right. So if you don't start protecting your data, and your data includes your phone, your cell phone, get a phone Get a Librem. Get a Clear OS phone. Your phone is the biggest rat on you right now. It tells you exactly, the cell towers say exactly where
Location,
you are at all times. Yeah, the apps in your phone are pinpointing you every time you go to Denny's or you go to International House of Pancakes. They know where you are.
Then they'll
You know?
ask you, "Did you enjoy your time here?" It's like,
Yeah.
what? Did I even
like,
tell you I went here? Like,
yeah, like mind your own fucking business. So it's not only that, your alarm clock, you have a smartphone. As soon as you wake up in the morning and you press the button, they know exactly when you wake up. Your smart TV, when you use your TV, they know exactly when you watch TV. They know your habits. I mean, if you got one of those Keurigs, or those smart coffee makers, they know when you're making your coffee. They know everything about you. Every small minuscule detail about you, they know about it, because you're the idiot that gave them that information. Your phone is this.
well, a lot of people are doing it unwillingly. Like they agree to these agreements. And does anybody ever read these agreements? Probably not. Like if you're a lawyer, potentially, but like, nobody reads them. So they're doing it without even really knowing.
I mean, you're hitting it right on the head. We're talking about attention. Attention is the number one thing, the most valuable thing in the world now is your attention, and subconsciously you're giving your attention to these apps, to the AI, right? That will then map out what you're doing in your life. So not only can it market to you, but it can track you. It can know what you're doing. It'll know how to tax you in the future and all that. So it's not to interrupt, Lootz, but go ahead.
It's automatically bundling your information and selling it to people. Last year, 2019, Facebook gave all your phone numbers out. There was a hack, and all your phone numbers was given out. It's on. I could tell you who you are because of that hack. It's already leaked.
There's so many data dumps like that have happened, from so many different centralized databases, and that's the main problem. And that's why all of the things that we're talking about do not have that centralized database, right? It's a distributed database. That's the whole idea behind blockchain in the first place, is that everyone stores a copy of the same distributed database. Everyone can independently verify, and that database cannot be hacked because it's based on cryptography, and that's how it's put together. So yeah, continue. Sorry.
So decentralized database is definitely one of the methods, but it's not the only method. You also need to stay private. Right, so privacy and decentralization. We did decentralization very well. Bitcoin did that very well. We learned how to be decentralized. Awesome. But we're still in the same place. You're still being monitored. Everything you're doing on Bitcoin is being monitored. So you really didn't do anything different than using the bank. Right? The only way to get out of that is start using privacy technology. And remember, the technology you're playing with now that you think is so fucking exciting, I've been watching it for 10 years. All right, this QORTAL has been going on for 6 years. Komodo started a DEX, a decentralized exchange, 8 years ago. So you guys think that this is new. This is not new. All right, this has been going on for a long time, this war. This is a war. All right, you guys, you think you're having fun making money? This isn't fun for me. All right, this is freedom. This is freedom. Right? This is how, these are tools you need. QORTAL is a tool you need. Any DEX is a tool you need. Pirate is just a tool. All right, you see me not talking about it much. It's just a tool, right? You want to stay private. You want to put that money in the mattress where absolutely nobody could find it. It's Pirate. That's how you solve your financial problems. How do you trade it? Well, then QORTAL comes along. Now you can stay private over there and trade it, because you can't do that right now because they have a chokehold on all the centralized exchanges. Every single one of them, they want to put their hand in, and everything the government puts their hand in turns to shit. Right, and that's a fact.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, we have a lot of newbies in here, so I want to kind of back up and give them a little bit of background on what we're talking about. And we actually opened up the summit with Catherine Austin Fitts, who's very well known in the truth movement and in that space. And she had worked she was the assistant secretary of the HUD under the Bushes, and has been like seeing the deep state from that side, and is very tapped in. And she had some very valid concerns, and exactly what Lootz was just saying about crypto and how it's just basically setting up the foundation for the new kind of digital gulag, where all of our finances and all of our basically our whole lives are being tracked on this digital system. And I say, yeah, exactly. This is why I've been criticizing crypto for where it's gone. And as Lootz said, right now, to get into crypto, you have to go do what's called KYC, which is basically take your ID and go into one of these centralized exchanges like Coinbase, attach it to your bank account, and then start making purchases, which is all tracked and all put in the system. And I would say these centralized exchanges, what's wrong with them too, is that they are essentially made Bitcoin into like a derivative, because you don't
actually did do that too with the ETF and whatnot.
Exactly. So they've just basically taken what was supposed to be a peer-to-peer money, digital money, and they've converted it into essentially, almost like a fiat, into a derivative. And so these are
how they control silver.
Exactly. So these are problems. So that being said, let's back up and explain what a decentralized exchange is. And let's explain too, people are really like, what the hell is QORTAL? Because a lot of people don't have the background, and then we'll go into what the hell really is pirate and how it is private. But let's start with QORTAL, because people haven't seen the other videos and they're just kind of lost, and that's fine. I get it. Like, a lot of people are coming new to the space, and that's what we want. We want people that have never gotten into crypto to come straight into something like QORTAL and not get into these into these channels of the centralized cryptocurrency, system. So that being said, Jason, let's give a little background exactly what is QORTAL, how is it planning to kind of decentralize web hosting in the internet, and why is this to answer Catherine Austin Fitz, because after she was on that interview with Sayer, by the way, I talked to her after, everybody, and I explained my position on my criticism of Bitcoin and how it is a derivative, and how a lot of people with a lot of power and money have already bought a lot of it too, and they have heavy hands in it and can manipulate the market through the centralized exchanges, because it is low liquidity compared to even like Apple stock. They can push the market around, they can do pump and dump schemes, they can totally manipulate it. And this is with all centralized exchanges.
And if you notice, it's now starting to follow trends in a very similar fashion to what stocks follow, right? So now these trends are literally almost the same thing. So you can use the same exact software to predict now cryptocurrency trends as the same thing that you would do for a stock, which in reality, it really shouldn't be that similar. They're making it that similar. Right? So let's explain. Okay, so I'll quickly explain. So what a centralized exchange is, all that is, it's a company. It's just a company that has centralized servers that have basically connected with these projects. Most of them are corporations that have agreed to send them a certain amount of coin to have as liquidity on these centralized servers, which a lot of these coin have been pre-mined, have been created out of thin air. They haven't been mined like traditionally, like a proof of work mine like Bitcoin is. So they send them a bunch of coins so that people can then go on and buy these with Bitcoin or Litecoin or whatnot. So they control the back end. They own the wallets.
And they own your coin until you pull it off. So that being said, there's bots in there doing auto buys and sells, playing with the numbers. It's all just digital numbers in that point. It's not real crypto. It's just digital numbers that they're playing. Those charts you're seeing and everything, they can just manipulate that however they want, and they've been caught doing it over and over again.
A lot of them have.
So that is the centralized exchange. Jason, can you please explain, and Lootz kind of talked about this a little bit with Komodo and stuff, which is another project that came out a while ago that that Pirate kind of came out of. But what is a decentralized exchange? How does that work? And then give us a little, explanation of how QORTAL came out of that idea, and now what QORTAL is trying to be.
Right. So to give an overall explanation, QORTAL is essentially an infrastructure platform. It's meant to be a completely decentralized infrastructure platform. Now, what does that mean? It's going to apply the same decentralized concepts to other aspects of life, right? Like, we can use those same decentralized concepts to then store data and use that same encryption, and so that only the person who puts the data there is the only person who can modify that data, right? So it's the same idea, just applied to different ideas. So we take and we make a platform that is a completely decentralized ecosystem, right? So QORTAL is not just a coin. It's not just a singular platform. It's meant to encompass and take and use multiple other decentralized platforms and make them all work together. So for example, the first thing that we've done in stage 2 of the launch was to build the trade portal. Now the trade portal utilizes a technology by the SIAM developers called ACCT, which is a smart contract on the automated transactions smart contract that allows you to trade directly from one blockchain to another. So we eliminate the need for people to take and deposit their coin to a centralized exchange, thus removing your own ownership of your coin and giving your ownership to a centralized exchange where then you can trade for other coins. And then if you're smart, pull it right back out. But in the past, I have not been smart, left coins in a centralized exchange and have lost a ton of coin from doing that when they get hacked or just randomly disappear in some cases. And there's so many different things that can go wrong with centralized exchanges. So I wanted to remove the need for that to ever take place. So you should never have to deposit coin anywhere to trade. What you're doing instead is doing a literal cross-chain trade from one blockchain to another with nobody in between. So when you're seeing the sell orders that are listed on the trade portal, they're literally other users that have put up their coins for sale in a smart contract that sits there until the buyer says, okay, I would like to buy this. And it trades directly across chains. So there's no person in between. There's no one to KYC to. So there's no KYC, no AML, nothing you have to provide any information to in order to use the trade portal. Now, of course, we can only do this with blockchains. So you have to get into Litecoin first before you can trade to Court right now. But in the future, what I suspect will happen, and what seems to be happening already, is that most fiat currencies will be turning into blockchain-based currencies. Now, if they use any of the existing open source platforms to build that system, or if they build their own that's open source, we can then trade directly with those fiat currencies as well in the same fashion. So what I'm thinking is that we're just a little ahead of where everything's going to be eventually anyway. So you can either give your control up or not.
Yeah. So to make this really simple for people, because we've got people in here who are just really figuring this out. So a cross-chain swap for this decentralized exchange is literally like me and you digitally handshaking. Like if I was to give you, I had gold in my hand and I said, I want some of your silver. I'm literally me going right to you in an alleyway or in my backyard and going, here's my gold. We've agreed that I get this so-and-so silver. And at that same time, we exchange. Instead of going to a bank or going through a loan or something like that, like in traditional ways, which like a centralized exchange is, where you're giving your money to a middleman and hoping, you're trusting them that they will then go ahead and do the exchange appropriately. Now, we know they'll take out some fees and all that, but this is literally person to person across.
No fees either.
No fees, but two blockchains talking to each other. So that is extremely important to understand. And then to explain what a smart contract is, all that is code. It's literally what it in its own explanation is what it is. It's a contract that is been done in code that does the agreement for you. So I'm contracting with you right now that I agree that your silver is equal to this much gold. And it just does it for us, but it is just code and it's open source code. Anybody can see it. Anybody can verify it. Anybody can say, oh, you know what? That has a little bit of an error. Let's fix that part and make it better. So once again, open source. So that's what that's doing. Now, on top of that, Lootz, we have, basically the P2P, back and forth. Then what Pirate Chain does is this adds a layer of privacy on top of that. So now what you can do is you can do the P2P and then you can convert that. And this is going to, in the future, to Pirate, which will then be completely untraceable. So right now, you can have your IP address traced to a QORTAL trade.
Well, no, you can't. You can't have a trade tracked.
Not
with
the
an
trade,
IP address.
but
the only thing that is tracked with an IP address is your node, which is only in talking to other nodes to synchronize. So there's no way to know which person is doing what.
Sure.
It's just your node has an IP on the network, which then synchronizes data. So yes, it's not tied to IP addresses.
Mm-hmm. So then what Pirate does is they come in and using a specific type of technology, is it the ZK snarks that it uses? It basically obfuscates in a way where no entity, even this, like if I'm correct, the NSA or anybody can know that you have this currency. It's completely obfuscated. That's correct?
It actually disappears. It's not even obfuscated. It disappears in over 400,000 transactions. So there's an anon set, right? And an anon set is a pool of transactions. That's all it is. And the anon set of Monero, I believe, is 15. I'll give them 30. We'll give them 300. We have over 400,000 on our anon set, and it keeps growing.
Can you explain that a little better? What that means to?
Yeah. So an anon set is the way a developer rates how anonymous an algorithm performs. So the way it works is in Monero, your transaction is obfuscated through 15 transactions. That's the anon set, the pool, the anon pool. Our anon pool it started somewhere around 130,000 when I got in, and we're at over 400,000. Right. So would you rather your transaction get lost in 400,000 transactions, or would you rather it get lost in 15?
And so my question is, how, in that sense, if someone's running some like crazy AI algorithm that's trying to track that, you're saying that still like currently with like NSA has and stuff, they couldn't go through there and follow it.
Nah, not even close. They could barely keep up with Monero right now.
Yeah,
they're trying.
They just now barely were able to start tracking Monero transactions. So
and that's in an onset of only 15 to 30. So I can't. You know what? I can't wait till they start looking at Pirate. I'm gonna say, go ahead. Good luck.
Yeah, exactly. As soon as they try to figure something out, we'll just make it better.
Monero did a hard fork after the Cipher Trace announced that they were 80% close to cracking the code. Right. I know that they didn't crack it. All you Monero people, I got it. But they were very close to it. Now the fact that there was some type of fork afterwards and they played the defensive game tells me that, I don't know, you're obviously not that confident in your algorithm, right? Because you wouldn't have you'd sit here and laugh like me and say go for it, right?
Yeah.
You wouldn't play that whole defensive play of forking your code, right? For whatever reasons afterwards, that just did not look good at all.
Yeah.
Bad form.
So I guess for people who are completely lost, which some people in the chat are, and I'm sorry guys, we're not going to be able to bring everybody right into this. In this discussion.
There is some level of learning that's necessary when you're coming into this stuff, because you can't jump into something that's brand new and cutting edge technology and expect to just immediately understand it. Like that's just an unrealistic expectation, but you can come in and learn and start, understanding parts of it and then put that together. Right. So yeah, it is going to take a little bit of effort. Yeah.
And I'll say this, it's the same thing with health, right? Like we've had some pretty advanced health topics on this summit. And we asked, this is a very important aspect of sovereignty, which is you're going to need to do some work. You're going to need to do some work to take control of your life, your finances, and everything. We've been opting into our own slavery because we've become so conditioned into having everything centralized and given to us that we're literally been seeing it on the summit. We're on a new platform and there are some issues with it. And I apologize with the cookies stuff and with getting in on the logins, but we've been getting like such a barrage of support requests because people won't go on Google and just search, how do I do a magic link to a website or something? Because people have become so conditioned into having everything handed to them on a silver platter and given to them to literally where it's like that movie, what's that Pixar movie with the little bot and they go up in the space and everyone's fat and on these like little carts.
Oh yeah, Wall-E.
Like that is the future, that if you go down the centralized path of services being offered to you, that is what you will become.
They'll happily continue to serve you because they're just going to keep taking your money and they're going to get rich and everybody else is going to just, keep doing the thing, right? So we have to be not pampered, and
to learn from scratch.
Let's learn.
To learn from scratch, we Jason and I did a Crypto for Dummies Alpha cast that you can go check out, where we really go through step by step what a blockchain is, what Bitcoin is, what Ethereum is, what are the problems with everything. I highly recommend, and I will put that in the comments below. I highly recommend watching that.
This goes back into community too. Our community is so great. You come and ask any dumb question you want to.
There's no
We're not
such
going to call
thing.
you dumb. We're going to say, here you go. Here's the answer. And if you need it broken down further, we can do that for you too. So literally, it's just that you need to put in the effort if you want to be able to get control and get your individual sovereignty and take back control of your life. You have to take a step and start learning some of these things. If you want to know more details, you have to ask. If you are the type of person where you don't care how it works, you just know that it's working right because everybody else can verify it, it's open source, that's great too. But if you want to know all these details and specific questions, you've got to ask them. And that's why our community is a huge thing that we push here. Get into our community, ask those questions. There's so many people that will answer you, myself included, Mike included. We will all be there to help answer questions for you in any depth that you choose.
We've had, and this is no knock to the baby boomers out there, but we've had 80-year-olds come in that were completely clueless and are now minting Court and are loving it and are in the Q chat. So people are like, what are you talking about? Minting Court and in the Q chat. Well, once again, you can go back and watch these videos, but I will give my quick brief explanation. That's a beautiful dog, by the way, Lootz.
Yeah.
I will give my brief explanation of the power of QORTAL and what I told Catherine Austin Fitz after the call. So she was on with Sayer, who is a big supporter of QORTAL and was on the opening live stream for the summit. And she said, well, Mr. Global, that's what she calls like the power elite or whatever you want to call it, have complete control over all of the access to the internet. Right? They, the telecommunication companies have laid the lines across the oceans, own the internet, own all the financial systems. So you're no matter what you're doing, you're playing right into their hands. And I said, exactly. That's why we created QORTAL. That's why Pirate Chain exists. Let me explain. So I said, I agree. Right now, once again, we've explained what centralized exchanges are. We've explained the Wall Street 2.0 issue with trading crypto, and we've explained the corporatization already. I think we got that, and that's all problematic. We have so many problems with crypto because everything is in their box. So that was the whole point of us creating these technologies and why they're open source, why they're community-based, is because we're trying to counter that. How are we trying to counter that? One, QORTAL is all about creating a new network that will allow for you to have your own naming system, which is going to reinvent the host system, the domain system, which is currently internationally controlled, on how we literally name websites. So right now, for instance, you guys are on a reunionsummit.com. We had to go buy that domain name from a domain provider, which is centralized, which is a choke point for how the internet is controlled. QORTAL is essentially creating a new network with its own decentralized network that will allow for us to host those names and take back those names. So for instance,
when you buy the name, you're not buying the name from anyone. You are registering the name for the first time, and that name costs you a transaction fee, and that's it. So you're not paying anyone for anything. You're buying it from the ether, essentially, registering that name into existence, and then that name exists forever.
And the blockchain then will have that name set forever, and no one else can have that name. And that in the future will be, if you want to run a blog or website, that will literally be your address on the network. So for instance, the first thing I did is I went and got Alfa Vedic, of course. So the future Alfa Vedic website will be on the QORTAL network as Alfa Vedic. You will go to an address that will literally be on the network. And so that is one innovation. The other choke point would be literally the internet service providers, all of the lines that have been run. Well, how do you counter that? Well, one, we are creating mesh networking. So that obviously is going to take a ton of adoption. But the idea is you can literally connect via a localized mesh from node to node to node to node to node. And that, as adoption goes across the whole world, those meshes will connect and it will create a new lattice work of a new internet. People then ask, well, how do you cross the oceans? Well, and sorry, flat earthers, maybe they are balloons, maybe they're satellites, but we can use satellite technology. We can use new technology to bounce that across distances. And that's what innovation's all about. But that's the point. We're still figuring it out. That's why there's a voting system.
That's why we need more people.
Yes. But we're at the dawn of this, right? Like, we don't have all the answers. But we are in complete understanding that, yes, we need a new system. We cannot use, now maybe with privacy, Lootz, we can piggyback on their system and they won't even know we're there. What is your idea there to that? Because obviously this is a major issue we have, is that the Verizons, the AT&Ts of the world, they've laid the infrastructure down for the internet, laying all the lines down.
Sorry, guys, give me 1 second.
No worries. So, these are issues, and these are issues that we are approaching by first and foremost, we need to create the infrastructure so that we have our own decentralized naming system. We have our own currencies, and then we have the ability to make it totally private. So the NSA, the Fed, whatever, they can't know, they can't track, they can't trace, they can't tax. That is sovereignty 1.0. We lost Lootz. He's going to be back in a second. So we are literally trying to recreate our own sovereign system from the ground up. And yes, the question, Jason, that we always get is, well, what if they take out the power grid? What will happen to crypto then? Well, if they take out the power grid, what happens to their systems? I wish they would take out the power grid. I was hoping we would have collapse last year in a romantic way, because I see where the Great Reset and where their system is going, and it relies on the internet and the power grid. That's their whole future. That is their whole future. They don't want to do that, because that would allow us to go back to farming and get sovereign and get connected and start bartering again and using gold and silver. That is not in the works, people. What's in the works is what you're seeing, which is the opt-in slavery system of the Great Reset. So we need to counter that and work with that. And plus, no offense, but I kind of like the internet. Like, we're using the internet right now to do this and spread. I like going on and streaming old movies. I don't want to go back to the 1800s. I want to be able to go out to the mountains.
Technology is not disappearing. Okay. They're not going to kill all power. They're not going to kill all the internet. They rely on it just as much as we do. But what we can do is provide another network that will work either in tandem or completely separate from it once it gets large enough, and provide complete sovereignty with that system. So we have another parallel system running with their own, or part of it, or a separate, doesn't matter, but we have our own that we can then grow on our own. Right? That's the idea. It's not really in direct competition with anything. It's literally just providing a solution that other people can make use of.
It's the Buckminster Fuller idea, which is just, instead of battling the current paradigm, just create the new one. Go ahead, Lootz.
So there's a lot of solutions out there. You got IPFS, right? That's pretty similar. You can create your own.
We actually are probably going to use IPFS for our initial data storage in QORTAL. So yeah.
Cool. Yeah, it's a good solution. So they have a problem with super cookies, but I think we could eliminate that on the user side. So QORTAL is giving you a network where you could play by your own rules. Whereas any network right now that uses a www is censored, right? Those websites are all censored because you're buying them from the government, right? So you're buying them from ICANN, right? So when you're using this other method, this new method that you need to get used to, the domains are now long hashes. They're just numbers and letters. So instead of a .com, you're typing in a long hash algorithm, and that's your website. So that algorithm is now your website. And if you could get used to surfing websites like that, you'll start learning how to use other technologies like Tor, right, with onion sites, and also the deep web. What's that called? We call it Dracula. Garlic, right? So you got I2P, also another network that you could put anonymous websites on, and then you could learn to cruise those sites without any government agency or any third party stopping you from viewing that site. If there's somebody in the world that wants to show you something, it's by all means, it's your right to see it. Nobody should reject that for you. It's your right to censor yourself. Nobody has the right to censor you. And that I think that's why QORTAL will be an important, thing.
That's exactly the methodology that we're going to take with it too. If you want to not see certain things, you will join a group on your own accord that will then not show you those certain things, right? Like, so that's exactly why the group system, or part of why the group system exists on QORTAL, so that you can actually decide to join a group that would follow certain rule sets as far as data goes. Like if you want to keep your children away from certain data types, we can do that by having you join that account to a group, which then, right. And so, yeah, we have that methodology there in place.
So
and ultimately, the only person that should censor your stuff is you. I trust you. You're an adult. You're an adult. Yeah. You could. Yes. I believe that you could censor your stuff yourself, and you don't need people to do that for you.
Yeah, that's one of the big, criticisms of open source decentralized stuff. It's like, well, who's going to come in and stop, God forbid, some like really bad stuff being shown or being used, black market stuff, and all that. And the thing is, that's the whole point of community, right? Like, so I love your dog, but so we've been in modernity has sold us this idea that humans are inherently selfish and bad people, which I don't believe. I believe humans in general are beautiful, loving, caring people that want to help each other. And that has been the lie that we've been sold by the Keynesian economists, because they want us to believe in centralized status control means the best for us, and that they should be the ones in charge censoring and making sure society is civil. When in fact, it's the opposite. They're the ones destroying our life, and they're the ones that are causing all the issues. So with community, with true decentralized open source, like the community can police itself, and with decentralized autonomous organizations, we can have ways where people can vote, go, oh, we don't want that comment on here because that's gross, or that's abuse. They just murdered somebody on camera, whatever, like the worst things you can think of. Nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants that. And it will police itself. We have to have trust in humanity. And I really believe that humanity is good, right? Like, I hope, so that being said, a lot of amazing questions here. And, one of the big topics of this, and this is tough. This is tough for me, and this is a tough one to answer, because one of the main topics, and what Josh Del Sol, who's a co-host on this, and has years with the 5G summit and issues with EMF and man-made EMF pollution and how it hurts our biology, like crypto and stuff, is based on the internet and based on these networks. And so how can we balance that out so that we are not based just on a bigger and bigger, network of EMF radiation around us, because this is digital money? And so I will first say my kind of crazy out of the box solutions, right, that I've been thinking of. And really this has to do with how do we ground crypto back into the physical, because that is something that's beautiful about gold and silver. And I know, Lootz, I think you're a big fan of gold and silver, like physical, but yep. How do we ground it back into physical? Because that's really important too, to me. And Crowe, Jason, I was thinking of this interesting idea, taking the paper wallet idea of the Bitcoin paper wallet and being able to print like your court into some sort of paper form that the blockchain recognizes that is, its own individual piece. And if somebody it has your own long string of your private, whatever, some kind of key on there, and sure, people could try to photocopy it, but once somebody takes it and then scans it in eventually, so it would require a network, but then the blockchain would know like nobody else could accept that paper, if that makes sense. So the ability to somehow transfer your crypto to a physical paper so that you can go to, so you could go to an off-grid event. Because remember, when we were doing Karmaship, we were trying to think of ways that we could take stuff and go to an off-grid event that has no internet and still play into the blockchain some way. So these are important innovations that I think we can start working on so that we can ground crypto back into the physical a bit and not be so dedicated to, we know that there's dangers of 5G and all this stuff and the more cell towers and all that. There's a way to balance it out harmonically, with the earth so that we can have crypto not play into this destructive forces of telecom and everything moving forward. I know this is kind of out there. Have you guys thought of this at all or have any remarks on
It's
this?
definitely possible. I know that. But no, I mean, we've not gone that direction at all yet. Like right now, the main focus is to make sure the network is growing, make sure the minting is all working the way it should be, make sure that we have full stability. And so we're still, working out some little bugs on stability and stuff like that. And we want to make sure that the network is completely stable before we start worrying about other added features and stuff like that. So right now, yes, we're trying to stabilize and secure and make sure that everything that we have right now works the way that it should. And then we'll move on to doing other things like that. But that's totally a doable thing. It would just require a little bit of thought and development, but that's absolutely something that could be done for sure.
And Lootz, this is a good question for you. If you're there, we might have lost him for a second. How could we purchase QORTAL or Pirate or LTC to get into court without being traced?
Well,
from fiat.
All right.
That's
so
a good question.
this is
what I
know
that answer right now.
This is what I recommend for everybody. Get a separate laptop. Don't use a Ledger Nano. Don't use a Trezor. Just get a separate laptop and make that your crypto laptop. Don't do anything on it. No social media, no web surfing, and just use that for your disconnected offline cold storage. So whenever you got to use crypto, just turn it on, and when you turn it on, you should have a Linux operating system with persistence. Once you have that, you connect to your VPN, and then you connect to Tor. Now, Pirate OS will do this, and we'll be including QORTAL in there. So we'll have Pirate OS. We have GoShip for your wallet, so that boots up with persistence, has encryption on the next version, and that you use just for your wallet. It's got Tor already. Everything's already there.
Can you quickly explain what the Tor Onion browser is and how that works? Because people actually are bringing it up in the chat right now, but maybe some people don't know what that means.
Right. If you want to go that route and you want to do some surfing, forget the crypto stuff, and you want to use Kodashi, Kodashi, really badass. It actually thinks of the exit nodes, so it has 2 Tor setups. It's top
Tor
of the
is
line.
just another decentralized network that allows you to anonymize traffic by passing it through multiple nodes, essentially.
Right. You're hiding your IP address. So it's just another way to hide your IP address. So if they see that IP address, which is fake, and they trace it back, they'll just see the VPN IP address. And if you have more than one VPN, even better, because if they trace that back, they'll see another VPN, and so on and so forth, till it gets too expensive to monitor you. Right. And expense has something to do with defense. All right. So the more expensive it is to trace you, the more likely they'll give up. But that being said, a separate laptop with Tor on it, with VPN on it, and we have that already, called GoShip. We have Dreadnought OS coming, which will have the minting, QORTAL minting once that's stable. We'll get that on there as well. This will be just for mining. So you hit the CPU button and you mine Monero and you get Pirate. You hit GPU, you mine ETH, you get Pirate. You could turn on your staking node, and hopefully by then you'd be able to trade on QORTAL using what you got, and you could earn QORTAL using that OS as well. So it's a mining operating system. And then the next one will be a trading operating system, which will probably have QORTAL as well. I'm not sure how I'm going to do that. Maybe have both. I don't know. But I want to incorporate all these operating systems in one hypervisor. It's going to be the Pirate hypervisor. And when you turn this thing on, you'll be able to use all the technologies, QORTAL, Tor, I2P, because they all have the same thing in common. The more nodes you have, the better these networks work, right? So if we combined all the networks and all their users, and we all use them in one platform, so I2P, Tor, IPFS, QORTAL, all these technologies, they run on the same concept. The more nodes, the better. So let's put them all on one platform and let them benefit each other. And that's the idea.
I mean, literally, what you're talking about is the new internet, the new crypto 3.0. I mean, you just summed it up right there, bro. It's like the new network, the new infrastructure for the new, way to be online and the way to interact anonymously and do commerce. And then we could build e-commerce into that. We could have with QORTAL's ability for the naming structure and stuff. We could have blogs. We can have social media on there. Like, we could have social networking on there. We can have Q-Chat, which is basically like the new Telegram.
And you plug in this one operating system, and you got everything right there at your fingertips, and you're safe. So you don't have to sit there with miners and pulling crap on your Windows, which is already compromised. You're good to go already. You plug in, you live boot it to whatever you want, USB. You could use whatever you want, and then you're good to go. You're already on Tor by default.
And the one thing we haven't discussed on the energy consumption, and one of the big issues with like a Bitcoin network, which is using ASIC miners, and we've discussed this in great detail in other shows, but that was a huge innovation for QORTAL, is that the minting algorithm, the consensus and the mining, it's literally all about being very power efficient, where you could literally run a Raspberry Pi on a solar panel in the middle of nowhere using a satellite and be minting and taking part in the network and earning coin out on a farm. And so
as far as the question about getting into crypto from fiat without any monitoring, the only way I can really think of to do that is with an in-person buy, right? Like something like local Bitcoins, where you actually go and purchase the coins from someone else. I don't know any other option for that. Do you, Lootz?
Well, yeah, local Bitcoins or something like that, where you literally meet somebody.
Someone else made a suggestion of another exchange that doesn't do KYC, but that gets dicey too. I think we lost him a little bit.
Lootz, you're on a bad connection now, unfortunately. I think you're being messed with. There you are.
Unbelievable. Are you good? I'm good.
Yeah, you're
so
okay.
Local Monero.co is where I get my crypto. It's KYC free. I buy Monero like I buy Bitcoin. I send the Monero over to whatever exchange I want, and I buy whatever coin I want. If it's QORTAL, I buy Litecoin, and I send Litecoin to the wallet, and I buy my QORTAL from the wallet. If it's a Pirate, I send it to Trade Ogre, and I buy Pirate with Monero. So I really don't use Bitcoin. I just use Monero.
Bitcoin's too slow anyway. Yeah.
So, and what we can do for everybody watching is I will put in the comments, Lootz and Crowe, Jason, if you could send me all these any of these websites and stuff, and I will start dropping them in. We've got a lot of questions, man. A lot of questions. Yeah. But one thing someone brought up, and that was something I was talking about when we were trying to do Karmaship and the in-person crypto events, is like the idea of an ATM, right? The idea of an in-person ATM you walk up to that has cryptos loaded in that you literally put cash into, and then you get the crypto out via the private key. The problem is most Bitcoin ATMs now use KYC. Like you have to go in and you have to put in your information to get them. So if we could have an enterprising startup that wants to do these renegade or whatnot, and maybe it's Monero ATMs or pirate ATMs and QORTAL ATMs, where physically you walk up to this machine at your local store, your 7-Eleven or whatever, and you put in. That's like, for me, the most decentralized way to go from fiat to that is you literally take cash.
It's the problem is that it has to be regulated, right? Like, you have to have licensing in order to do that kind of thing, because you're talking with a fiat currency. And that's exactly why our trade portal will never communicate with a fiat currency unless it's able to be traded on a blockchain. Like, that's the only way you can trade without having some sort of oversight, because the fiat currencies are completely dominated and controlled by the government, by the people that issued it, right? So they're printing as much as they want, and they control all of it. And so the only way that you can do any of that is by following their rules, getting their licensing to do those kind of trades. So.
And so we really need to be thinking, guys, bigger here. And if we want to be off the hamster wheel of fiat, we have to. One beautiful thing you can do, and there goes Lootz again, hopefully he comes back, is by getting into QORTAL network and starting to mint, you are literally earning the crypto by just running the network and taking part in the network, which is fairly distributed and shared across everybody. So unlike Bitcoin, where you're competing to try to win coin on every 10-minute block, where they give you a certain amount of coin if you win, this is like everybody just takes part and everybody shares. So every minute, everybody gets a little piece, and it's all split across evenly according to what level you are. It's really egalitarian in that way, and it's more about the abundance model than the scarcity model, where Bitcoin is based, its value is based on scarcity. QORTAL is based on abundance. And that being said,
the release schedule is still slow, and there's only 1.6 million coins in existence now after however many months, 8 months running. And so it will continue to be released slowly. And so the value should still increase pretty significantly. So it's still also a good option to hedge and get into just because, right?
Yeah. Yeah, Lootz, I'm adding you, but I'm just seeing black. Check your video settings there. I see you down in the backstage, but for some reason now you're not popping up. Man,
there we go.
They're messing with you, bro.
Right?
Yeah.
And I guess
but anyways,
it's getting bad over here. So
yeah. So go ahead, Lootz.
Everybody that you need to make a decision.
I know. So we lost him, but I know what he's going to say here. Here he's coming back. What we need to make a decision. Oh, go ahead, Lootz, because I think I know what you're going to say. But go ahead.
After this COVID is said and done, we're either going to be a communist country, or we're gonna be a lot of people fighting for our freedom. And I hope it's number two. And I hope people decide that they should start taking their data into their own hands and stop giving it away willy-nilly. When somebody asks you for your email address, say why. When somebody asks you for your name, why? When your phone number, why? Start learning to ask the question why. Stop being a bunch of pussies. Right? Because nobody comes up to me in Brooklyn and asks me for anything unless I know who you are. Who are you? Do I know you? Are you asking for my address? Where is this going? Ask where it's going. Where are you going to put my information that you just took from me? Is that a secure location? So you need to start asking these questions, because no one's going to do it for you. All right, you're already screwed. Yeah. The whole world is screwed already. All right, you're being monitored from the moment you go on a bridge with that little easy pass. To your phone tells them what cell towers you just passed. Your kids are being monitored through their cameras. When is it going to stop? Now they have complete authority over your children's bank accounts, because I bet you got bank accounts for your children, don't you? Why not just give them a pirate wallet so that nobody knows what they got?
Yeah.
Right? Wouldn't that make more sense? Why back in the day they used to say hide your money in your mattress, right? Or put it in the wine barrels. My grandpa used to put it in the wine barrels. You got to hide your money in the wine barrels, like old school, man. This isn't over yet.
Oh, this is just starting. This is just starting. Yeah.
Our grandparents had the right idea, and then we fucked it up. We came along, we thought we were smarter than our parents, as normal, and we fucked it all up. They were going on a good route. They were hiding their money. They knew what to do. But we don't know what to do. We're all idiots.
Well, so the Ledger Nano, the hardware wallet, they had like a buy 3, buy 2 extra, or so for 3 for 1. So I got that deal, and I got the 2 for my kids. So they're like savings account. So they each have a Ledger Nano that I'm putting Monero in, because Ledger supported Monero. That's why I got the Ledger. I think Trezor might soon or not. So anyways, that's their little bank account, right? That's their little savings account that I just trickle in every and okay, so we're coming up. We got 15 minutes left, and we got a crap ton of questions here. But one question is like, hey, how can barter be integrated with crypto? And essentially, that's what I was leading to with where you were saying, Lootz, you need to make a decision. Well, here's what I was saying when we lost you is like the whole fiat to crypto kind of portal. Don't worry about it. Get into crypto. So one way you can do is start supporting QORTAL, start minting it so you can start earning it. And then you're now getting this money basically by putting your time in. You're getting this valuable new crypto, which is up to I don't know what it was when it started, like 10 cents. Now it's worth like
60 to 75 cents. Yeah.
Okay. So, and that's fiat stuff still, but whatever. My point is, start accumulating this, because then guess what? Like we'll have our own e-commerce sites on the thing that'll be selling these. We'll be selling these Reunion Summit hats for QORTAL. Like, so we won't even care about, we won't even care about. That's
the thing
fiat.
Is that when people stop caring about fiat, that's when it really is going to kick in, because you don't need it anymore. In fact, we can send money worldwide in less than 60 seconds every time with QORTAL right now. So there's no point in needing fiat at all. So as soon as everybody just realizes we don't need it anymore and start accepting cryptocurrencies as payment, which a lot of people are doing already, that's when everything will really start moving forward.
So when we did Anarchapulco, which Lootz was down at, and an amazing event that's been groundbreaking for years about all this, we did a sponsorship thing there, and that's great. They accept Bitcoin. And in fact, we set the Bitcoins for our sponsors for this. So Lila Q, instead of going to their bank and going and do a wire transfer, which you have to go, then you have to put all the addresses, you have to do this, and you have to KYC, and you have to do all that. Literally within, Bitcoin's a little slow, but within 10 minutes, we had that in our account, and it was done. And there was no extra fees. There was no KYC. There was nothing. It was just like, boom. It's just so much easier to do commerce with crypto. It really is. And even if you have to wait an extra minute, or with QORTAL's 1 minute, to have that versus, dealing with the Visa and a MasterCard thing. And MasterCard, by the way, has direct hands in Coinbase with that company. With a lot of the exchanges, MasterCard is literally involved directly with them. So we need to move on. We need to start using crypto for stuff like farmers markets need to start taking it. It's all about P2P. So one thing that I want to develop on QORTAL is a bartering, to start a small farmer system where you on the network can see where other providers are, and it doesn't have to be attached to your physical place. It's just your name on Court, and you can then just on the Court system say, hey, I'm in this general vicinity. You can say like I'm in this county or whatever. You don't have to like geo code where you are, so no one knows actually where you are, and it's all through your pseudonym on Court. And I grow carrots, let's say, and so then you have somebody else that has I make really nice chairs. Okay, great. So then you can choose to barter and use Court as, to make up the difference. So obviously carrots aren't going to be the same as like an antique chair that's been refurbished. So Court can come in and make up the difference. But now what are we doing? We're on our own sovereign network of commerce that is on the Court network that can use Pirate for privacy, so we can convert to Pirate and use that, so that for those transactions, because Court really doesn't even have to be something for commerce. Court is really a service coin for on the chain, and then we can use the DEX to go to Pirate, and then we can use Pirate to transact privately. So this is the ecosystem we're envisioning, guys. I hope people that are watch on this summit can start to see that what Catherine Austin Fitz, I love you, and I've been watching you for 15 years. There is another way, and we're building it, and it doesn't have to be back to the 1800s on horse cart buggies, you know, chipping gold flakes for a carrot. Like,
I mean, this is essentially the digital version of that anyway. It's all hand-to-hand type transactions, right? And especially with something like Pirate, where it's literally like a cash transaction because there's no traceability there. Like, that's exactly what we're bringing back is P2P, but it's just done digitally instead of trying to do it in person, right? Because a lot of people are not dealing with each other in person. We're all doing this right now.
Well, and there's danger.
The internet, right?
There's danger in person because that requires trust. That requires meeting someone in an alley that could jump you
is key.
and jack you for your cash. Like a smart contract takes that danger out of the equation because it does that trustlessness with you. That is a huge innovation with Bitcoin. Is it's trustless. You don't have to trust the shady character in the alleyway to have the cash for your transaction. You know, that's a really important aspect that people need to wrap their heads around. People used to get jacked in the Wild West when it was all, you know, when you had all your coin. That's the other thing too. When you're talking about physical coins and stuff, you have to like store that somewhere. Where Bitcoin, if you can, or with Pirate or with Court, if you can memorize your private key in your head and like just do the work and just memorize it, it's in your head. They would have to torture you to get it out of your head. You can walk across borders with it. You could carry $20 million worth of Pirate into Mexico, Lootz, in your head. They could strip you down, anal probe you, whatever. They're going to, until they have the ability to read your mind, you know, like it's completely borderless.
And especially with QORTAL, because you can just literally make up a seed phrase yourself and type it in and get into an account. So you could make up your own seed phrase in your head. I trotted through the valley happily or whatever, and type it in and you get into an account. So
Well, I've decentralized my silver. What I did was I bought over 500 fruit trees, and I got an ounce. I have an ounce of silver underneath each one. So if you want to come and take my silver, I feel bad for you. You got a lot of digging. You have a lot of digging to do.
That's funny.
So we're coming up on time. People I think are really invigorated by this chat. I think they're seeing the light more and more. And actually, it's funny. They're asking, is there a university they can attend for newbies to get all this information?
Well, you and I were thinking about starting something like that, and I really think we kind of should. Is just do like some classes and get people up to speed on some of this stuff because there's been so many questions. But really, get into the community. Get into the community and you can ask all these questions you want all day long. There's somebody there to answer them for you or to help you get set up, to help you get started running the core, running the UI, get minting, and any other questions that you have, we can answer them for you.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's the one thing someone mentioned, well, I don't have the internet. How can I be involved? I mean, that is a tough thing. I mean, until the network is meshed out and you don't have to be on the internet, but you are going to require some kind of technology. Like, unfortunately, this isn't all analog where a tree is doing, like you grow a tree and it's going to be doing the minting for you. Like, if you have sensitivities to technology it's tough. I feel for you. And that's a tough thing. And maybe there's some innovations down the line with the paper wallet ideas and stuff for people who are literally Amish that don't have technology, right? Like, that's a tough thing. And, I have compassion for you. But I think having a university type like thing that walks you through a modular system, Dash, I'm not a fan of that project. But they did have like kind of a cool with what's her name, who's like the YouTuber
I remember that back in the day.
What's her name? She had kind of like a cool university thing where it's like, this is a blockchain. This is Bitcoin. Like, there are those solutions out there. So if you go on YouTube and want to get like the very basics of crypto, Naomi Brockwell, right? I think that was her name. She had like I think it was her, or it was maybe not her, it was someone like her, had like a university for crypto. So we'll work on that stuff. It's a community thing. That's the thing. If somebody wants to come in,
jump in and do it
and do that, and in the community, awesome. And we'll send you some.
And then they can put up a donation address and everybody can donate to you. Exactly. Like exactly what happened with like QORTALDB.com. That's where you can go and get tutorials and get the database files for QORTAL. And it's been used by quite a lot of people, and me included. I now recommend people to go there to get the the blockchain bootstrap and stuff. And that was set up by a community member, the studio. He set it up and he put up donation address. You can donate directly to his efforts there. It's great, right? Like that's exactly what we're trying to foster here, is for people to individually take it upon themselves to set something up and then get rewarded for that by donation from the rest of the users. And that's beautiful.
Yeah. So Joe Mega, by the way, who has been a huge supporter of the network, he said he'll happily host some classes, workshops. So there you go. Go ahead, Lootz.
There you go. There's
also the Crypto Vigilante. If you guys don't know, this is one group that's been supporting Pirate pretty big. They also do things right. They're very big on privacy, and that's why I like them. They have literally a 72-page paper. If you want to learn about Pirate Chain, they created a 72-page paper that'll tell you everything you need to know about Pirate.
That's
hey,
awesome.
Lootz, you need to get Jason and I on with what's his name, who does the show for Crypto Vigilantes. I'll hit him up too. I've got a direct connect because I'd love to go on. Because Raphael, because I think QORTAL is a perfect fit too. I think Jeff would love QORTAL too. So, anyways, we'll talk about that after. But hey guys, we're running up on time. Let's go ahead and give everybody information on where they can find more about QORTAL and Pirate. Lootz, what's the best place to go to get involved with Pirate Chain?
Pirate.black. You buy it at local Monero, you sell it on tradeogre.com, and you buy Pirate. So buy Monero on local Monero, send it to TradeOgre, buy Pirate, and that's it. Sell it and buy Pirate.
TradeOgre, that's AUGER?
OGRE.
TradeOgre, is that how you spell it?
Ogre. OGRE.
Oh, Ogre. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So, and also you guys do have a Discord, which is has a lot of activity
and
too.
Hopefully soon we'll be able to list Pirate on the trade portal. They do not have the locking transactions that are necessary for that to happen right now. However, there is an option for the subatomic trades that Lootz has pointed out to me, and I am now talking with the developers a little bit about that. But we are first trying to just get everything perfectly stable, and then we'll start talking about getting the voting system and voting new coins into the trade portal so that there's more that can be traded directly cross-chain. So yeah, QORTAL.org is a great place for QORTAL, by the way.
So QORTAL.org, and we do have a Discord and a Telegram group. And once again, the whole goal here is to get off those and have them all on QORTAL, so that even the GitHub, which is where the repositories are, where we have a decentralized Git, because right now GitHub is owned by Microsoft, right?
Yeah. Git itself is already decentralized, but GitHub is owned by Microsoft. Absolutely, yeah.
Nothing I say is financial advice. I'm a researcher.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly. Do your own research, people. But that's what open source community is all about. It's all about going in, taking control of everything and having it be transparent, having it be trustless, having it be cooperative. Community, everything I talked about in my holistic economy model, that's why this feeds in so perfectly. Hey guys, I want to thank you so much for joining us today on this call. Jason and Lootz, you've been fantastic. Lootz, I think you've done a really good job of showing people once again just how much they're being tracked. You know, Bill Gates, by the way, is saying that with his satellite technology, he'll be able to see every square inch of the world. So,
that's supposed to make us feel happy.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what we're up against. And so once again, what's feeding that? What's feeding that is the debt system, is us using their money. That's how he can afford to put all that stuff up, is that the systems he's working with are literally taking from us and enslaving us. So stop using fiat. Get into other like Pirate and QORTAL. And I know it's tough out there. It's tricky. There's a lot of scammers. There's a lot of shysters. So do your own research. We'll help you as much as we can. And good luck out there. But hey, guys, thanks so much for joining today. And everyone in the summit, thank you. By the way, people in the summit, just to know, we added Curtis Stone to the summit, so he will be on tomorrow. We've updated the schedule tomorrow, so tomorrow's all about permaculture, agriculture, self-sustainability, regenerative systems.
Awesome.
So that's very exciting because tomorrow we'll have Curtis Stone, the urban farmer, who's now really he's the homesteader. He's moved onto a big chunk of land. So he's coming on at noon for a live stream with myself and Josh Del Sol. So that's an ad. And then, of course, we had a Dolores Cahill on, who will be on Thursday, who's doing the World Freedom Alliance and also the Freedom Airlines Lootz. So we talked about before here that maybe, hopefully, one day soon, we'll be able to easily get on a flight back to Mexico and not be anal probed. So,
the problem was not going to Mexico; it was coming back home. It was like I wasn't even a citizen. I wasn't even a citizen.
Yeah,
Mexicans treated me better than my own country.
Yep. Not a surprise.
Not a surprise at all. And so anyways, guys, if you love this content, please, and you want to own this, you can sign up for the full access. You'll get the download at the end of the summit, and then you can just watch this over and over and over again. So check that out. And hey, love you guys. Hey, Jason and Lootz, I'll be connecting with you guys on the flip side. Later, everybody.